So I'm Eny Osung. Eny Osung is my full name, and I run a marketing agency in the UK called Global.media. Yeah, I was born in England, raised in Nigeria, raised in Iran by my granddad. If anyone knows Zuma Memorial Hospital, that's where I grew up. And then I came back to England when I was 14. I was 13 and 14. And I've been in England ever since. Yes, I talk mainly marketing and I talk positivity. So I try and inspire people to be the best they can be and to achieve greatness.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi Ewanfo, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
What else can I say about myself? I've got a family, I've got a couple of grandkids, I've got two older children and a 14-year-old. So happily married, been with the same wife now for the last 30 years, a bit more.
That's great.
And I've got two of everything. I've got two fish, two cats, two dogs. I like my
What
pets,
is about
I like
the
my pets
two?
in twos.
What is important about the two? Tell me about it.
I suppose one's gonna die, right? The thing about pets, they die. They're animals, right? There's nothing worse than waking up and there's no pet left. So if you got two, there's security that at least one will still be alive. We live this every day. So I got two cats, right? One is the mum of the other one. And anyone who's got cats knows that cats are quite disloyal. So they will eat in everyone's house and they come back to yours thinking that it's your cat. It's not really. So when the mum decided she's going to run away, we still got the daughter. So we don't really care. The mum comes back every so often, sort of snarls around the house, barks at the dog, and then goes off again to wherever she's hiding. So, if you only got one, then you miss your pet quite easily. And so when you got kids, it's very hard to explain to them why the pets died. With two, it's like, oh, don't worry about that. On to the next.
You got another one.
It's much easier.
I love that idea. I love that philosophy. All right, Eny. Today, I wanted to spend some time on Nigeria, the Nigerian business ecosystem, as it were. When you look at businesses in general in today's world, how do you see Nigeria in terms of within your area, because you are in marketing? Tell me a little bit about that. That is where we're going to spend all the time here today.
Okay. I think Nigeria, like anywhere else, has a lot of potential to make the internet work. I mean, the internet opens up an avenue that we didn't have when I was a kid. And now, wherever you are, you can reach the world. Literally, you can reach anyone in the world thanks to the internet. And for business in Nigeria, I guess, a lot of them, what I can see, have a limiting mindset. They think about their local economy, their local marketplace, when they should be able to think much wider. It's easy to focus on your local market, whereas the big money is nowhere, it's across the world. It could be the next town, it could be the next city, next village, next village, next country. It really could be. But if you never aspire to reach that far, then you're never going to be able to help them. Every business that you and I know, every single company ever started with one person. And, the big brands that we know, the big businesses, I'm thinking, whether it's Mercedes, whether it's Ford, whether it's, Nissan, whether it's anyone you can think of. Coca-Cola. There is one man who started a company, but they dared to dream. And look where they are now. I think Nigerian companies have the same chance these days. I might even say that it's our duty to aspire for our kids' sake. Why can't we be great? Why not? Why you and I are trying? Why not us? That's a question I've never been able to answer. Why not us? When I speak to Nigerians, and I have to ask me the same question: why not? There's many different bits that I'm sure we're going to unpick of that story. So
why not us? How are we supposed to be positioning ourselves as a country again within the area of business and economy? How are we supposed to be positioning ourselves so that we can be relevant?
Mm,
I like one thing that happened in Nigeria. I also like our way of doing things. Sometime, no. For example, look at Nollywood.
mm,
Up until the time that Nollywood came up, the story around Africa was slightly different. But because of Nollywood, I have occasion of talking to other Africans who have never been to Nigeria, people that are in South Africa or in Kenya or in Uganda. They
mm.
have a lot of good things to tell about Nigeria.
Yeah.
This is because they have been exposed to the story.
Mm,
Because if you don't tell me your story, there is no way, I don't have any way of knowing what you think. What is your mindset?
mm.
And I think it was Mother Teresa, if I'm not quoting her wrong, that there is no person you couldn't love if you could hear the person's story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, I really believe that we sometimes have the possibility of able to do a lot within our the way we tell our story, within the way we present ourselves in the world. How are the Nigerian businesses supposed to position themselves so that it can be relevant in the world of today?
I suppose, look, you're right. The TV is now, there's channels in England with Nigerian programs. I can't say I watch many of them. I don't watch much TV, that's why. But my sister certainly watches many Nigerian programs. And so when I was growing up, I suppose, over the years, music has been the other thing that we've exported very well. You know, and I think for the stars and for the actors, the musicians, they don't go to the world thinking I'm Nigerian. They go to the world thinking I'm a star. I have a talent. I have something that the world wants. And that's what I'm gonna let them enjoy and benefit from my talent. I think now, I guess I've never been one to go after celebrities, you want to call it that. The world always likes to tag onto celebrities as the picture of anywhere. I'm not a great celebrity fan. That's why I guess I think you and I are perfect examples. And there are so many more. We don't need to be we don't need to be celebrities, sing and dance or act. We have a brain, we have talents in business that we can take to the world. I know many Nigerians who make products. I know many Nigerians who know people who make products in Nigeria. They're trying to find out a market for them. And every Nigerian that I meet on LinkedIn, especially, they're all content writers. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but it's certainly, that's almost exporting the education system in Nigeria. That means you have to learn how to read and write better than most people ever have to, ever do get to learn. The way the education works in Nigeria, where you have to do writing and comprehension so many times at school, and the fact that you're judged by that in almost every exam, it creates an ability that even English don't have. Of, so it creates an ability that even the English don't have in their own country. When I came to England when I was 13, I wrote better than most British people ever wrote. Going through school was easy because I understood what there was, and I understood English in a way that most English people just can't comprehend. So I think we can export a lot more of our business acumen, a lot more. Yeah, no, we do good work. Unless we tell the world we do good work, they'll never know. And nothing stops what someone is, what you're doing, what I'm doing, what the other next person is doing in Lagos from serving people in Britain. But well, we know this. We know this already. The fact that Nigeria, has one of the biggest freelance market in the whole world means that we realize that we've got skills that people actually need. It's just whether we want to be ambitious enough to turn that into a brand being a business that has an identity, that has something it does for people and the way it does it. If we actually want to sell that to the world, then we have to be very, very intentional. We have to design the company to do so, and then say that's my goal. Once you decide that's your goal, then you know, once you start working towards it, things come to help you along. I mentioned in our last conversation about this friend of mine, Zion, this boy that I met on LinkedIn and then spoke to him on Zoom. And I told you, 6 months ago he was literally a nobody. Do you know this afternoon? I read an article by Theo Paphitis. Do you know him? It does the apprentice. It's not. No, it's not the apprentice. It's the other one. The other business show. I think where they invest in companies. So Theo, he's one of the big business people here, right? And his whole article was about positivity. A year ago, that wasn't a thing. Now, because this Nigerian boy, everyone was talking about positive energy. And we can affect the one on that sort of level. Everyone can do it. If we just rely on musicians and actors and footballers, and that's only a very small group of people. The rest of us can't do all that things, but we have other talents that we can export to the world and make loads of money doing it.
Looking at Nigeria, looking at this possibility that we have to be able to create, looking at the economy that we have today, Peter Drucker will say that we are moving into a type of economy that is service-based, the knowledge economy, if you want to call it like that.
I agree.
That is the economy that we have today. I believe that a lot of people have actually wish that they could be living here. What do I mean by that? If you were, you understand it perfectly, If you were living like 50 years ago, if you were a young person 50 years ago, 70 years ago, of course, you go to school, then you look for work, which is not even a bad idea, not a bad thing, But now, it's all about creating your job.
Yes.
It basically means that it is now up to you. Choose what you want to do. That is freedom. Now,
and I suppose it's freedom if you are willing to think if you're willing to tell yourself, I can and I will. A lot of people don't think they can. That's a problem. A lot of people have fear. A lot of people have, they live with a mindset of I don't have. And the question why me works both ways, right? Why me? Why not me? It's the same question. And there's a saying: whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. If you say you can't, then you won't. If you say you can, then you can. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And so unless people sort of come to that sort of level of thinking, it's life. There's a weird thing. It's in my experience of talking the way I do. It's that I'm quite positive, right? I'm quite, and I truly believe that, because and you and I came from nothing. Here we are, right? Because we said we could, and we actually want to do it. But there's many people who, they take the knocks of life much harder. And whereas it's easy for you and me to smile and be happy whatever happens in our day, for them everything that goes wrong is a disaster. And it's not just it's not just what's gone wrong. They take it as something about them. It's personal, and they see it as a reflection of who they are, what they can achieve. Whereas in reality, everything that happens, rain follows sunshine. And that's just life, right? If it rains on you now, it's going to be sunshine after that. So just get through the rain and wait for the sunshine is the way I look at it. A lot of people just stay in the rain moment. It's raining. Oh no, and it's terrible. Bad weather. What's the point? That's what. Now it kills many people. Those who are willing to open their minds and get creative, they can achieve a hell of a lot. They can achieve a lot. Yeah.
You see something that I discovered a couple of years ago, not too long ago. I'm talking of 3-4 years ago, because you did make mention of freelancing, and for the fact that a lot of Nigerians know how to write, it means not only Nigeria, a lot of Africans know how to write, because we were compared to act like that, because we want to prove that we can do it, and of course by this one becoming part of the culture now, we then have the capability. And because we're talking of the knowledge economy, your ability to be able to create. So what I want to say is that because the economy become open. Let's use the word open like that because now there is no border anymore as it were. A lot of American company decided to start working with other countries in Asia, particularly the Philippines and India, to help them create content and do all sort of things within the area of freelancing and as VA, virtual assistants, and all of that. What does that really mean? What it means is that somebody that is living in the Philippines who have never gone to the United States or maybe living in India or Bangladesh is able to do clean job for an American company and get paid handsomely. Now imagine a lot of businesses that's sprung up from that area, a lot of freelancing services. And because we are talking about Nigeria or Africa in general, what do you think we could do in those areas? Since we have the capability, people in Nigeria have the capability of able to work in this area, work for any company you want to work with in the world. What is holding us?
It's the same thing. No, it's limited thinking. That's all that holds us back, right? You mentioned writing. Yes, of course. We're very good at writing, but no, there's no reason why we're not good at software development, for example. And there's many great Nigerians who can do great websites. There's many Nigerians who could do great design. Why not? But they just don't. Unless they're willing to exploit their talent. It's not just exploit their talent, I guess. It's more see it as a God-given talent that it will be a shame if they keep to themselves. Are you with me? Now, you and I could be in our beds right now. We could be watching telly for anyone cares. But we generally believe that we have a God-given ability that we can't afford to waste.
Absolutely.
Right. They have to see it the same way. That's all that's holding them back. It really is. He said the weird thing about the freelance economy is this. If you can do it for an American company, a British company, a German company, are you with me? You can do it for an English-speaking company abroad. Think what you can do at home. Just think of that for a second. And just it's if you can make the product, the services that we're delivering abroad, it's not just good services. These are valuable things that we're doing for these companies. They're making millions out of our talent. So why aren't we replicating that same passion to help Nigerian companies at home? Some will say to you that the companies don't want to employ us. Some will say to you that the companies in Nigeria are only interested in working with the family members. It could be true. Of course it could. But then if we're that good, I guess I've always found if you really are that good, companies will employ you. I mean, you're in Italy, I'm in England, right? Don't think there's no time that it doesn't cross our mind that racism gets in our way, right? But we know deep down they're paying for our talent. If we are so good, they can't not employ us, and that's what happened. That's just reality of life. They have to call us because only we do what we do the way we do it. I think people underestimate the courage, the endeavor, the persistence, the consistency it takes to be who we are and to get as far as we have. Many more are going to go much further than us. Of course they are. But we're not dead yet, so we're going to carry on trying and proving that there is a path that you can follow and achieve greatness. Because I really think everyone can.
Thank you for that. All right. Now, I know we are not in Nigeria, but of course, we know what is happening in the country because that is where we are coming from. It's our home. Now, let's say, because I've talked to a lot of Nigerian writers and the content writers also. So the question sometimes is, you can also make a lot of money even if you never write for overseas company, even if you are writing for companies within Nigeria. So the question is sort of maybe in both ways. Are Nigerian businesses actually see value in trying to be online? Because until you are interested in coming online, you necessarily might not need a lot of these copies. Say maybe, for example, content creation in terms of maybe making sure that you are dominating your niche through what you are putting out there in terms of, I don't know, article, video, or things like that. All this become relevant when you are online.
Mm.
Do you think Nigeria businesses or a lot of Nigeria businesses do see the value in this so that the people there, it's just a question of, okay, yeah, I can do it for you. Because if you're not interested, if you don't think it is important, you're never going to pay for it.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you entirely. You know, it's of course it's important to use the internet properly, but we have, there are quirks, there are maybe hurdles in a way, right? So the one thing I'll say for sure is I'm not sure the Nigerian companies are as what's what I'm looking for. They have a different way of thinking of the internet, the way the Western people think of the internet, right? They're not sophisticated, is what I'm looking for, I think. And it's a weird thing to say, but literally, as I look around me, it seems like Nigeria was still 4 or 5 years behind for the rest of the world in terms of what the internet can do for you and how we use it. And even though, but I don't think in England everyone is digitally savvy. They're not. They're just not. I used to live in London. I spent my first God knows how long in London, 5 years in London, and then I spent the last 4 years in Cornwall. And in Cornwall, they still believe in posting adverts on trees. They still believe they still believe in walking down the road and selling what they sell. I'm saying that's so 10 years. That's just not do it. That's stop doing that. Go online and do it, right? So my point is that different people, there's many different societies and groups where the internet is not as well used as it should be. Even when people know that it's there, they still don't utilize it to its best. And Nigerian companies, they need to think a lot more. I don't, they need to think a lot more digitally. They need to realize that everything is online. Everything is online. If it's not online today, it's going to be online tomorrow. And they need to, the way the internet works is, the systems, the search engines, for example, the social media platforms, the algorithms, they have to build up trust in who you are and what you do. The sooner you start, the better and the further that they can trust you. Look at Google. Let's use that for example. If I'm going to search for something on anything, right? There's going to be a first page of results. That's where everyone clicks. On that first page, there are effectively 5 organic, websites that are going to be there. So 5 organic service providers, right? And the rest of it is full of ads and the local pack. Now, someone tell me how Google's meant to rank hundreds of thousands and billions of websites to come up with 5 for page 1. The time you've been on the internet matters. Creating the worth of content that you mentioned matters. Creating good content matters. If you're not creating it, someone else is going to create it, and then they're going to have the rank. They're going to be the ones that get the clicks, the ones that get the sales. It's as simple as that. The sooner people can appreciate that, then they might appreciate the digital talent that's around them. Maybe today you don't need an SEO specialist, but believe you me, tomorrow you're going to need one. And don't call one tomorrow when you need one. Call one today. Get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that. That is proactive. You need to take the action. Now you need to know where you are going. Be taking the action to get there. Not when the thing is already over, the thing is already overpowering you. Then you are because then you look like a man that is drowning in the water. You are grabbing on anything. The guarantee that you are going to grab at the right one is very thin.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. That's a good analogy. I like that. It's true. It really is. Be proactive for sure.
All right. I want to talk about us just a moment. We that are in the diaspora, because let's pretend that we know better. Let's pretend.
Let's pretend.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we do know better.
How can we help is trying to do this connection so that a lot of businesses in Nigeria can benefit thanks to our effort, and in this way they can benefit from us. We can also benefit from them. How can we get into this networking, this
It's
collaboration?
it's a very, very big, it's a big question you asked there, right? There are many things that we need to do all at the same time. I think, you mentioned the last time we talked that, there's something about creating a record, a track record that shows those behind us what's possible. It's almost like, it's writing in our name in history that with those who will come and look will say, yeah, no, there's one that looks like me. That's part of the deal. That's why we do what we do, primarily. I think that's, once we start creating that track record, then, being digital, nothing ever disappears. It never goes away. It's always there forever. So people will, those who care to look will find us even when we're long dead, and so, and so they should too. So that's one end of it. I say, me personally, I try to support Nigerians to think in the right some headspace. That's probably the best way to describe. And everyone I speak to, I care what they do, but I'm more interested in what their goal is. What's their mission? Can they aspire? Can they look beyond where they are to what they really? Can they really want? Can they change the world? A lot of this is down to, what do you want to be, and are you thinking big enough? I want a job is good. Okay, of course it is. But if you like, if you're the one creating the jobs instead, that's much better for everyone. It's better for you. It's better for, our community. It's better for, for Nigeria as a whole. It's better for those behind us to see that some of us can achieve greatness, and we can. It's nothing stops us, really not. So, I'd say in England, I say nothing's easy. I'm sure again in Italy, I'm sure nothing's easy as well. But if you throw yourself into it, you really can make that difference. And the more people see you making that difference, the more they will believe it's doable. And a lot of Nigerians are doing, we're supporting each other these days. Just go on LinkedIn, you find there's something called Social Saturday, where anyone who knows LinkedIn will tell you on Saturdays, Nigerians try to break LinkedIn because they all go on there. Social Saturday has millions of Nigerians just talking and connecting to each other. And literally, they do what they can to break LinkedIn servers. Many of the Nigerians I know, they always get locked out because in the end, they overdo whatever they're doing, they overconnect, they over invite, they over something or another. And literally, we're trying to break LinkedIn servers, but it's a good thing to see, because it means more of them are realizing that the online world is where it is. And they're coming along. There's so many people they can see the shoots of the internet. What they can't see is how to take advantage of it just yet. I'm hoping that will come with time. Like I say, you and I can inspire them, and just keep telling them that you can. Of course you can. Yes, you can. And then if we have to show you how, then we'll show you how.
All right. I like that how. That is very important. That is very important. Just because we're still talking about Nigeria and the Nigeria African diaspora, let me put it like this to you. How relevant is the Nigerian market to Nigeria and African city diaspora?
In truth, in terms of where we buy from, not very, because we don't have the options. The Nigerian companies don't put themselves forward enough for us to see them online to buy from them. And I guess those that do, we can't see them, we can't find them. It's a weird thing. So I speak to many people. I speak to businesses in Nigeria, and I speak to an accountant. Okay, they charge what they charge, and they do what they do. Can I find them online? No. And unless people find you, how are they meant to do business with you? So so collectively we need a shift. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes years. Of course it does. But like I said, now back to my point, The sooner we start putting ourselves out there, investing in digital technologies, then the more people who are looking for us will find us. That's the biggest lesson that we've learned in the West over the years. Again, like I said to you, the sooner you start, the further advantage you're going to have. Unless I can find you, unless I can see you, then I can't buy from you. But the only way you're going to get seen in the end, because the internet's so huge, it's full of numbers, it's huge numbers. You're competing against everyone else. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to get in front of me, number one? How are you going to stand out when I do see you? Why would I want to choose you over someone else? Bearing in mind that whatever you supply, I probably have that need met now by someone else, right? The only reason I'm going to come to you is if you do something that's different to solve my problem. If you do something that's better, and if you do something that solves my problem better than anyone else possibly can. Unless you start competing on that's the market we're in. That's the market we're in. Your podcast doesn't rely on you personally. It relies on your talent, your ability to compete against the millions of podcasts that are on every platform out there. So unless your podcast has something about it, a point of difference, and then added value, why would I want to listen to it? Yeah, it's the same goes for every single sector. Whatever you do, you have to realize, your competitors do matter, but don't focus on them. Focus on your customers. Focus on your listeners. Focus on your target market. How can you help them more than the next person does? Now, here's the way I describe it. There was one day, right? They sat around and said 1800, and they were like, look, we need to get people to travel faster. They need to get from A to B faster than they're doing now. Someone said, yeah, give them faster horses. Another one said, no, give them more horses called carriages, right? And then someone called Carl Benz turned around and said, no, give them the car, which will give them enough horses to get to wherever they want to get to, and they'll never have to keep a horse in their life, ever. Right? And guess where we are today? You know who won that race, don't you? It's a company called Mercedes-Benz. There's a reason why Mercedes-Benz is what it is. It started in 1872, it made its first car. And the next one that came after that was Ford. And Ford, now, they looked at everyone in the market, and Mercedes included, and said, you know what? We can make a car for the masses. We can mass produce every car that we ever make, and then everyone can afford it. Look where we are. If you do, wherever you look, there's Fords, there's Mercedes, right? My point is this. Those companies, those founders, they had a point of difference to what was there before. They solved the problem in a way no one else did. And because they solved that problem and made everyone's life better with a solution, everyone buys from them. Now they've done so for the last 150 years. Those companies don't think of making money. They make so much money that they don't even think of making money. They actually don't need to make money. They don't even need to sell, because we're going to go to them anyway, because they're the brands that we know. You and I can be in that same bracket. That's a game that we're all playing. If we can get ourselves and our business into that sort of space, the revenue will come, and then we can do even more, help even more people.
I love that. Then, I also pointed out something in your response before, that the Nigerian businesses are not putting themselves out there enough. All right. What would you like to buy from Nigerian businesses? What should the people be producing to say? Okay, I'm saying this because I want to attack the argument of mono economy, that because the government make a lot of money from oil, it appeared as if Nigeria only have oil.
Yeah.
But that is not the only thing that is working in the economy, or that is not the only thing that should work in the economy.
Mm.
We should equally be exporting cars, for example. Nobody is talking of Eny Osung cars, but these are cars that are also produced in Nigeria. Why can't they be brought to the street of London, New York, Paris? Is
Right.
it prohibited?
No, I hope I just explained why, right? The thing, look, the products have to have a point of difference, and they haven't got a big enough point of difference in terms of what we have here already. I'm not saying that they're not good cars. I'm saying they have to have a bigger point of difference for me to shift over, right? Let me give you a perfect example. We live in an age where we've done the Mercedes Benz from the 1800s to now, right? And then so now there's global warming. We need a different sort of car. You know, Elon Musk and Tesla said, okay, we'll create the electric car. You know, let me make a prediction. I could be wrong, but I know I'm right. And it's the problem is so obvious to me. I'm surprised the world hasn't seen it yet, but they've seen it slowly. It's been said in the last couple of weeks in our news. The electric car, for example, it's not a big enough improvement on the car. It has serious problems, right? Now, just picture in your mind. Think of a petrol station anywhere in the world. Nigeria, London, Italy, Germany, right? A petrol station. How many cars go for a petrol station an hour? Literally hundreds, right? You know, the busy ones are busy. Then a petrol station has, you know, how many pumps? 8, 10, 12, 18, more, less, right? And that's a good throughput of cars that it can get through in an hour. The electric car, which is an improvement, we accept, we know it's an improvement because it's greener and potentially cheaper to run. It's not true. I'm saying literally we're not switching over to electric cars because it's not a big enough jump from what we have now to what we want to drive in future. You know, I can just see if everyone who goes to a petrol station has to have an electric car, society will stop because the roads will be jammed with people who have just stopped waiting to charge their car. You know, the solution is not the electric car. The person who creates a flying car, watch when that happens. That's the answer. I don't care how it runs. Are you with me? That's the next level of transport. That's what's going to get. So, you know, that's the sort of mindset shift people need to create solutions that people will buy, and that can move, you know, companies forwards drastically. You know, so in terms of, you know, for myself, you know, I tap into Nigerian talent. You know, like I said, there's talent in design, talent in, you know, it's not just writing. There's talent in software. There's talent in accounts. You know, there's talent in construction. So there's many different talents I want to tap into. You know, but those who really want to come and dominate the market have to have something different to what we have.
All right, I like that. So how do we approach that difference, or the differentiator, the differentiation, as it were? Because that is actually where the market takes place. If I'm just replicating what is already there, I'm just another number.
Yes.
And people are tired of another number. In my place, they say, the first rat is the one that have name. The second one is another rat.
Yeah.
Another rat and another rat.
Yeah.
But if you are the first
love
one,
your analogies. I like that.
if you are the first one, then you have a name. Now, in Nigeria and in Africa, people are not really brain dead. Can't we develop our model in terms of transportation, in terms of the way we do things and the way we perceive things? Why are we not daring enough? Is it because we are afraid of the criticism, or just because we want to fit in? Because if we are fitting in, if everybody is fitting in, we are all going to fall into a hole. But if we are innovative with new ideas, it doesn't matter. People are walking front, you walk backward. Like Eny will say, if you do something different from what every other person is doing, you will never be wrong in your life.
Yeah. I agree. Look, like I say now, you and I, because we are in a different, we breathe different air. We can afford to dream and see our dream become reality. I'll tell you what I see as a minute. There's structural issues for Nigerians. It's not just Nigerians, for all of Africa, which, for better or for worse, is limiting. I said that I don't want to talk politics, but we have to talk politics sometime, right?
Sometimes it's unavoidable.
Right. Now, and from when I was growing up in Nigeria, the problem that I could see from when I was a kid was NEPA, electric. No electric. Electric comes on, goes off. They'll know that the powers that be will never understand how that cripples the country. With constant electric, you can do so much more. Your day is so much longer. You can achieve a lot more. With constant electric, I know we have generators, but I'm saying now, if you have electric routinely, like we should have, companies will do things differently because they can. It's not an extra bill. It's not a hassle. So you have to tackle the electric problem, the structural issues, the way I see them. Electric's one of them. The second one has to be internet. Again, it's not a Nigerian problem, it's an Africa problem. We're still, Africa's still doing data. They sell people data. I know there's Wi-Fi, but it's prohibitive in terms of costs. I'm not saying it's free in England. It's not free where you are either, but the cost relative to what we earn is just, it's nothing really. We expect to have internet. We expect to have 24-hour connectivity. Every African that I meet online, like on LinkedIn, for example, I know that they invest in their hard-earned cash to come online every time. Every time. If they're online for an hour, they know you and I can talk like this because we know we're free. We have internet. It's not free. I'm saying to us, it feels like free to us because we paid for it. We paid for it at the beginning of the month. So we just have unlimited internet. And I've got devices running everywhere. My whole house runs on internet. My kids have internet. My son's playing his game on the internet as we speak. My wife's watching telly on the internet. See, that's all connectivity. It doesn't just. It's not just about connecting to the internet. It gives you a platform to think. To create. Digital things, digital solutions that the average Nigerian can't comprehend. That doesn't make them sound like they're mad. That's one of the things I seriously think that we need to be looking at. Place for what you're looking for.
All right. Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. It was frozen for some seconds, but we're here. We're here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. You see, the argument is very fluid, in that it moved to a different direction, actually, in that sometimes it touch about mindset, but it's also touch on some deep things. Okay, everything is linked to mindset also.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we are just in this loop because it's helping somebody to keep us in the loop? Or it's ourselves that are not willing to come out of the loop so that we can stand out for something? Okay, what I mean is that in Africa, in many parts of Nigeria, to be specific, the stress is just so much that you can't even think normally. What you are thinking is whether you are going to die, you are going to have something to eat. If this is what you are thinking about, you cannot think about other things. Of course, I know in Nigeria we also think about God, think about Jesus, no?
No.
If this is the little thing you are thinking, you cannot think of how to invent, how to bring something new. You are challenging the status quo. For you to challenge the status quo, you need to first have the basics. So if the basics are not taken care of, it becomes difficult for people to think rationally. That is why I think, in my view, that if the basics were taken care of with the hustle that the Nigerian people have, they will build a super economy.
Yeah.
If the basics are taken, for example, if you were to just drive from Lagos to Benin without the excessive fear that somebody is going to shoot you on the road, that you could just take train in Kaduna, you are going to Lagos, you are sure everything is going to be okay. Because then you don't need to be worried about that. You need to be thinking, because the mind is a tool, it's an app. Let me use the modern term for it. But until you use it, it is useless
Yeah.
for you.
It's one of those, like I say, it's a scary thing. You're dead right. Again, we're back to politics, sadly. It's a reality, and I'm probably one of the worst for this sense of feeling unsafe, in Nigeria, where, because when I was a kid, I saw enough behaviors that you just think this is just terrible, so my granddad was a wealthy man. He was a minister of health for for a while when I was a kid. So I'm well aware what corruption looks like when you look around you. There's rich people who have the whole army protecting them and and their house, their mansion, which is more the size of a village, which I would find amazing. And but you know that when you drive down a road, it can easily get stopped on a random roadblock. God knows who by whom. Sometimes it's criminals, sometimes it's the police themselves. You could easily get robbed by the police, at your house, and they're meant to protect you. So the feeling of not safe it's a reality. And this is something that we must change. I don't know how we're going to change that. So in terms of your idea that we need a basic foundation to live, I agree. And this is Maslow's hierarchy.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's back. So unless we have food, you know, basic, shelter, how can we do other things? No, and then when we have the basics, then we need to feel safe. Then we need to feel that there are people that we can trust, relationships, that's family. We need to feel like we belong, and then that's when once you have the basic foundations of, survival, safety, belonging, then we can start working on our self-esteem. That's when we start talking like, dude, that, because a lot of the market today online, sadly, is personal development stuff. A lot of what the British and the Western people do focus on these days is how can I learn to be better? That's why they're talking about mindset, positivity, and all of that. And then it's only when you've done the basics, and you've got yourself educated and you feel good about yourself that you can start dreaming. That's the way Maslow's hierarchy of needs works. But we haven't got time for that. We have to learn to almost turn the hierarchy of needs on its head. I mean that sincerely. I say that because, yeah, if you don't dream, you're never going to change. If there's no change, you're never going. You can't wait forever to feel this sense of, oh, I can be anything, because unless you be something, nothing's going to change. Are you with me? That's just how life is. And now's the time for us to genuinely dream, dare to dream. If you dream, then you can achieve something, and then you can change your situation in a big way. If you're waiting for the country to improve before you do, to create the conditions for you to achieve your greatness, you could be waiting a very long time.
Oh, I love that. How much I love that. I think the economy that we are having today is sort of in favor of that philosophy. That we have been asking them, when are you going to construct road? They have not done it. They don't have any intention of doing it. So then what do we do? So do we keep waiting for them or we do something for ourselves? But how are we going to do that? I think that is where it really becomes very interesting. Now, the other day I was talking with an engineer, this guy that do coding,
Mm.
and they was asking, but why can't we look for a way to find a solution, a kind of a mini power supply, for example?
Mm.
Because we see that the government of Nigeria, because the guys in Nigeria, we see that they have refused to do it, not because they don't have. Trust me, the Nigerian government have the power to have 24 power supply in the country if they want to.
Yeah, I agree. And they've always had that power.
Yeah, because the human being have advanced so much that if you want it, within the next 6 months, there will be 24-hour power supply. It is within their possibility. Why they don't do it, they don't want to do it. But would they say that? No. They give us flimsy excuses. Because that is what the people want. They make them laugh. They give them moi, like like Tinubu will say, they give them rice. Okay, everybody is happy. Then everybody go home again and start doing this stupid thing. They don't want to do the right thing. That is simple. Not because it is not possible. Come on. How many years ago was electricity invented?
Really, like I say, in my day, they were doing this silliness then. So and NEPA has changed a bit, but it's not NEPA anymore. I'm saying, but the problem is still the same. Every Nigerian I speak to tell you it's the same problem. There's still a problem with electric, and it's but you can't. The government's not going to, it's not going to save you. They're not going to help you. They never could. Is there that mini power pack? Of course there is. There is the generator as well. But again, the Nigerians, we're plagued by corruption. See, here's what I never understood. We could solve the corruption issue if the people wanted to solve it, but we don't want to solve it because every other person is benefiting from corruption. I realized this when I was young in Nigeria, before I was a teenager. The fact that to have a petrol station, for example, you have to pay someone to let you have the petrol, and this someone you're paying goes all the way back to the police, all the way back to the government, all the way back to the governor. And are you with me?
Oh,
It's ridiculous. So it means that just when anyone in that chain could say no, let's break this chain. Let's not have that roadblock that's going to try and scam money out of poor travelers trying to get from A to B. But because they're all pocketing naira here and there, they just carry on, robbing people in their face.
But Eny, I have a question here.
Go on, please.
The corruption, is it really working for us or against us? An example. If somebody is sick in Nigeria, you need to be fly abroad. Otherwise, the person will die of certain type of sickness, I mean. Wouldn't it not be better if this person could be treated in Lagos or in Kaduna or in Benin, for example? Okay, now, the people that are affluent, they have the power, they said they want to keep other people as slaves. They refuse to build road that the poor and the rich can use. They went and buy an expensive car. And this car, they want to use it on the bad road. Because now, you look like a stupid man who blind your eyes so that you cannot see your enemy. Who is suffering from? Is it not you? So, is the corruption actually working for us? Okay, even including the military, the police, the Oga, let's call it the Oga, no? Is it really working for them in the real sense of it? Or is working against them?
It's never going to work for everyone. Corruption doesn't work for society. Like I say, the problem is the few that gain are many in Nigeria. There's a lot of people on the chain who are feeding off, the scraps of corruption. That's our problem. And of course it's not working, but they're making money, and some are making real money, big money. Now, for the small man, for the policeman who's underpaid, a few naira makes a difference to them. but it's nothing compared to the money that the governor's making. It's the people behind the corruption are making humongous, real money, big money, and they have no interest in saying, that once they're in power, then they're just raking the money in. They don't want to stop. Why would they want to stop? They don't have to think about the road, the electric, the average man. That's not a problem because they're so rich that they could of course they could easily go abroad. But then I tell you the worst thing about the corruption thing. They're blinded to the fact that it's a vicious cycle. Once they're in it, almost there's no way out. There's only one way out. I'm sure you can guess what that is. So when I was a kid, there were the same thing happened year after year. Every so often, there'll be a coup. This new military government will come in. They'll promise all these good things, elections, and then they'll duly murder everyone in the last government. You're like, what's the point of that then? Everything that we learned, all the experience, even the good one, the good and the not so bad, you've killed half them now. Now, where are you going to go next? And then they get into they get into government. Lo and behold, there's no elections. Lo and behold, they get another coup happens, and they get wiped out too. The weirdest thing is now, when I was a kid, when I left Nigeria, I think Buhari was the government. I think, yeah, it was. And then and when I looked around a couple of years ago, wasn't he back in government again? It's a shocker. It's a shocker. And apparently he's not. He's not a military man. I'm sure Major General is a military man. Whatever you dress it up as you like. It's it's a dying shame. See, but here's the point: the internet offers a solution to half of this problem, where we can bypass most of these issues. We can bypass the road issue. We can bypass the people issue by going straight to the source, where you can deliver your greatness. But then this is where my lament about how they're ruining the country by not giving us accessible internet and electric is so important. There's many countries in Africa. I'm sure there's some in Nigeria too, where there's e-doctors. Where you can have the service you need on an app. You can see a doctor on the phone. They can diagnose you, send you treatment, send you medication. It saves you all the costs of the whole hospital thing. Which is that you would see as progress. But those in power don't want you accessing that sort of service because it ruins their model of, being crooked. This is what's holding Africa back. It's so sad. It really is so sad. It really, I find it so tragic. I don't know. I don't know how we can change it. I really don't. It's a problem.
It's a big problem because we just keep turning around in the same pool of our. We've murdered ourselves, and now we are in the pool of blood of our own blood. We are there. We don't want to clean up ourselves. We believe somebody is going to help us. So let's keep praying. Please come now. You shit. You are in your own mess.
Not really.
Why would you call God to come and save you? Clean up your ass.
The thing about God, again, Nigerians have a good way of putting themselves, like you say, in the same situation and never changing. The best way they do that is believing that God's going to come and save them. I will never understand. I really won't. So last time I was in Nigeria, I remember standing, in my granddad's compound. So I'm looking on the street, you can see out on the road. 3 times a day, there's Nigerians that will pack themselves all their belongings effectively. Bags of rice, bags of meat. Taking their goat. Where are they going? In thousands. Where are you going? Church. And then they say to you afterwards, I'm poor. I need help. I got nothing left. I got nothing to eat. You're like, you just took to the church. Why did you do that? The church, your vicar, your pastor doesn't need your food. He really doesn't. Well, I don't know why you thought you had to go and do that 3 times a day. Don't do it. Don't do it. Really not. I mean, the pastor has a better Mercedes than me. The pastor has better clothes than me. There's a problem now. Why are you giving him more? Well, because now I want to get to heaven. I despair. I seriously despair. I don't mind a man who has faith. I really don't. I think it's much more important to have faith in yourself and what you want to do in this world. Have faith, put all your effort into, dreaming about what you want to achieve, how you want to help people. That's what this boils down to.
In fact, it's the only way.
Yeah.
It's the only, other than that, you are just believing that somebody is coming. Because how can you, as a man, as a human being, who let people try to understand it? God has created you. This God has created this world, and you are His child. What have you created yourself? What are you creating? You are just going there to say, "Hey, you see, yesterday I didn't have work. Give me work. You see, I don't have money. Give me money. Okay, I'm not well. Give me health. You, what are you giving to somebody else?"
Yeah, and so you're so right. It's like I say, unless you help people, your situation is not going to change. It's just not. And if you help people, they'll pay you. Help people, you can change. You can change your situation. You can change their situation. You can influence others. You can move things forward. But a lot of people don't want to do anything. I don't know. This is giving it. You blame God when it goes wrong, and you give God credit when it goes right. I don't understand. It's always baffled me. I'll never get it. I'm not a church person. I'm probably more likely to believe in there's something called the universe. Are you with me? There's powers. There's something out there. There's something there somewhere. The universe knows when you're lying. And maybe it's karma. That's what I think. That's what I think. If something goes right, I take credit for my work to make it happen. If it goes wrong, I learn my lesson and change for next time. But when you blame it all on religion, you almost abdicate the blame when it goes wrong, and you can't take credit when it goes right either. Which is it's like a vicious cycle.
With eternal children. We are eternally babies. So we can't hold ourselves accountable. No, there is no light in Nigeria. It's not our fault. That is flawed. We need to look for who is responsible. It's not our fault. There is no good road. It's not our fault. How can it be our fault? Instead, let's organize millions of people in the crusade and say, God, you forgotten us. You can't do that, no?
It's what God wanted. That's why we're where we are. It's crazy. It's a crazy way to think. It's a really crazy way. And the people who are running our religions, our churches, they have everything. They have everything, and they don't see things the way the average Nigerian sees religion. Even the pastor knows it's a business.
I say it a full time. People don't believe me. And also, another thing that is even very ironic about it is that the insecurity in the country affects everyone. Now, what does the pastor do? They pray to the Nigerian people not to suffer the consequences. But themselves go and employ the police to take care of their own security.
Of course.
But is that not? Can't we see that it doesn't require prayer for the security in this country? Because if you require the prayer, let the pastor walk on the street like every other person, and let's see if God is going to protect him.
That's way too risky, my friend. Come, you're being too brave now. That's
I have to.
No, I hear you loud and clear. Of course you're right. But then the problem is that the average Nigerian would think you and I are being rude, talking like this, because they want to believe that the sacrifice is worth it, because they'll get their reward in the next life. And I just think that's just crazy. And I've talked about this with some people, and they sort of they're in such denial that I just give up. I don't really try and tell them. I'm just like, okay, whatever. If you want to believe that, you believe that. It's fine. In the end, they learn it's only one way, and the way it's not waiting for God to come and do it for you. You have to help yourself. Eventually they get it, but it takes a long time. So those who get it move things forward quicker. And so many others they're just lucky, but then there is so much that we can do for ourselves. And as I said, and this life is about daring to dream, daring to be ambitious, and then trying to work out how am I going to get there. Am I willing? Am I able? If the answer to those two questions is no, then change something. Am I willing? Yes. Am I able? Maybe. Okay. What do I need to learn? Where will I learn? Are you with me? And then you have to learn step by step, not abdicate and blame it on some superpower that you can't control. It's
the thing is that when it comes to politics, we started in the economy business today. When it comes to politics and religion, this is they are too intoxicating. You can't stop it because it's so irrational. It's so irrational what is happening in the country and in Africa and among Africans. Yet people don't get it. That is the point that is really annoying.
I could get frustrated with that. I can see your frustration. I feel your frustration. I really feel your frustration. But I let them be, because we can't change it. We can't change the way they've been indoctrinated. And they really have just been fed a load of lies that they've just swallowed, hook, line, and sinker. And the rest of the world has wisened up to the realities.
And they have moved on.
Yeah.
And we are waiting for them to come and help us. Because people are designing the internet, though. We are using the internet to pray. People design Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
We use the Zoom to pray to God, though. But why can't we be learning? Okay, let's see. God give me power to design. Okay, let me go and invent, no? Let me invent a new way. Let's develop this economy. This is the will of God, no? Or is it the will of God for us to continue to suffer?
I don't know. There is a more pernicious side to the belief in faith to come and save us, right? Which I would say includes the internet. So that's why I mention it now. There's people who think that the solution to all the problems is begging online. They come on LinkedIn, they beg. Please, sir, I need a job. You're like, what can you do for me to pay you? I just need a job. It's like, that's not how the world works. And then there's the other ones who come with, I want to start a charity. You're like, really? Who do you want to help? And they'll give you someone. And I want to help school kids. Okay. You're like, really? All right. So what have you done to help school kids? Nothing. How much do you need? They give you a number. It's never a small number. But here's the weird thing. It's a small number for us. But for them, it's like a king's ransom. It's like winning half the lottery, really. But to us, it's just a number. Well, if you want £1,000, okay, it's not going to change my life. It's not going to change my life. It's not going to change your life either. I'm not saying I've got it to give to you. I'm just saying to you, if I give you £1,000, it's not. I'm not going to be bankrupt, and you're not going to be rich either. But in your mind, they think they're going to be rich. And they just intend to beg their way into I don't know, success, I guess. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's point. Work out what you can do for me. I'll carry on paying you.
Thank you.
It's so simple, but they just don't see it, and you're like, what can I say? We try. God knows we try.
Thank you so much, Eny. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Now, what would be your final thoughts here? Kind of advice to the people that are listening to us, because at the end of the day, you're going to look for a way to save yourself. We are all drowning.
It's a hard. It's a hard one. It's not as easy. It's not as easy to say, here's what to do. I guess, at the end of the day, life comes down to the same thing. You have to think positively. You have to realize that what we do for ourselves and what we do for others is what makes us lead a happy life. A happy life being a successful life, a life full of fulfillment. It's how can we help? How can we help others? That's the same as saying, how can I help myself? By the way, and the only way you can do that is by genuinely being ambitious. Aiming for humongous goals. Don't just aim to be another rat, like you said earlier. What can you do different that's going to make you the person everyone goes to? This is what this life is about, And once you find that thing that you can do, hold on to it and work at it for as long as it takes. You see, the weirdest thing for me is that when I was growing up, when I was in Nigeria, I'm talking 84, right? One of my uncles had an idea about it sounded like the internet. He didn't call it the internet. He called it some super fast phone system. And I thought, usual, you're dreaming. It's never going to happen. And then fast forward to 2000, so the internet was here when I was in England. Where's my uncle? Still in Nigeria, still bumming around, still doing nothing. So we can create greatness if we put our mind to actually willing to work for it. Whereas many of us, too many of us just think, and then we'll keep thinking, and we'll keep thinking, we'll keep learning. Don't do that. Think, plan, go for it.
Thank you so much for that. That is the powerful one. I don't even want to add anything to that. Think, plan,
and go for it.
And go for it. Take action. Action is what changes everything. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. I really do.
You're a joy to talk to, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Oh, surely we are here. We are here. If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Eny Osung. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.